All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to take you around with another morning walk, and I know you guys are enjoying these, so I'm going to continue to try to produce some. These low maintenance videos are also really easy for me to push one out when I'm loaded with work and other projects on the property, like typical spring has us all doing, and also consultation jobs. So I actually took the last consultation job that I'm going to take until fall, I think. So thanks for the overwhelming demand for consultation services. It's actually been really interesting to watch your projects and help along, but it's just a little too much. So I think we'll hold off on the rest of those until fall, and just have to get a whole bunch of stuff going here, and running out of time. There's not enough hours in the day, at least when you work full time. So just on that, if you want me to keep making videos and have more time to do all this stuff, if this channel ever got big enough, I would probably consider doing this full time. So if you do want to help support the channel, most important thing you can do is get the word out. So spread it with your friends. If you want to directly support, there's a join member button below this video right next to the subscribe button, so you can always consider joining the membership program. It gets you a few little perks, and it helps support the channel. It gets me closer to pushing these videos out as a full-time job, which would be fantastic, but we're nowhere close to that. But maybe one day, that's the goal. Maybe one day I can retire and just produce permaculture content for the world. So speaking of busy, some of the things I've had to do is we've had to get our septic pumped out. So we have a septic. This is basically, for anyone who doesn't know what a septic is like, it's basically an underground tank, and it's got two risers. The solids come in from the house here, while all the material comes in from the house, and the solids will fall down and deposit here, and then there's a baffle plate that the liquids kind of get around to the back side. So there's kind of two sections, a solids and a liquid side, and then as more liquids come up and fill the tank, it overflows into basically a drainage field, which is a bunch of pipes all kind of connected together, and then it slowly leaches out into the yard. So that's what a septic looks like, and to pump it out you have to uncover these lids, and they pump out both sides. So over time you have to pump the solids out. So there's these risers here, which is just bricks coming up off the tank, and then an access hatchway. So it's fairly easy to find. I just take something like this. We've got a long metal pole from some kind of gardening thing, and we just wrap it around and jam it into the ground to find this lid when it's down. It's fairly easy to find. But when you got a lot of rocks in your soil, then you can push it down and hit a rock, and push it down and hit a rock, and you're like, oh, there it is, and you dig, and then you get a hole like that. And then I had a couple more holes here. So we have not been here that long, and the previous time it got pumped out was when we bought it, and one other time that I wasn't here to dig the hole. So I've never actually dug the holes for these, so I didn't know exactly where they were. I knew they were here, so I was trying to find them, and pain in the butt. I found this one after I dug some holes, and then trying to find the next one. I thought they were closer together. They're roughly 6 feet apart, and I should have looked that up first, because then I dug a second hole there, and then I continued the trench till I ended up going right over to here and didn't find it, because I'm looking for this, which should be only a few inches below the ground. And you can see this one doesn't actually have a riser on the back side. So I dug this part up here all the way down until I hit the tank, and then I went across the tank until I found the lid. So that was a massive pain in the butt, and we'll probably put a riser on this one too, so that I don't have to do this every couple years, well into my 80s. I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'd pay a lot of money for the digging, and that was a ton of work because it's all rocky. And anyone who knows digging into gravel, like gravelly, rocky soil, it's really difficult. There's a lot of pain. And, in mosquito and mayfly season, it's not the most fun thing you can do. So this is one of the projects that I've been doing, at night. As soon as work ends, I'm out here working. So, when I'm saying I'm really, really busy, that's kind of stuff like that. Just general homeowner stuff. That's one of the reasons why I've been so busy. So a few days later, battle royale in a pot. Everything's still alive, so semi-success there, I guess. Gotta celebrate our successes. So one more project's complete. We got the solar on the house. So it still has to get inspected and then closed out to tie it into the grid. But the panels are up. Here's the grape trellis coming back to life. So the grapes are leafing out again and should look really great under here this year. Okay, now we also don't want the grapes putting all this growth right down here. So what we're gonna do is pinch off any growth. Oh, hi, we got a friend. Always got a friend. As soon as you bend down, you got a dog right next to you. So we're gonna, sorry if the camera's moving, she's sniffing it. We're gonna bend down, we're gonna take out all this growth. All in these areas where we don't actually get a whole lot of value out of the energy that the plant's putting into photosynthesis. And then that helps it kind of use its energy up top for the growth that we do want, which is creeping across this tangled web of a trellis. So back at the asparagus patch here, once they get up to about this high, you kind of just stop picking them. So I could pick, you know, this is a pretty healthy plant here with this, look at this monster. So I could take this one out, it still hasn't ferned yet. It's good fresh eating too. So sweet. The difference is just unbelievable. It's so sweet. So all these we're going to stop picking now. You know, for the most part, we're just going to let them stay strong, get a huge fern, and put on tons of photosynthesis. Just as an example, this front corner here, this is where I was picking them a little bit more often because these ones were doing really well in the first couple years of their life. And you can see the difference. You know, I have harvested one here this year so far and it's shooting back up here. But this is the difference. Look at the ones, you know, where I didn't harvest as often in their first years, and I just pulled this out, and I've been pulling, you know, more out in here as well. And just so you can kind of choose what kind of healthy level of plant you have. You either overpick it and you get greedy and you get a lot of this for the first couple years, but then you get this for the next couple years. Or you just, you know, anything thinner than this, you just leave. You let it get stronger as a plant. Like I would never pick something the thickness of this, which is what you see in the store. You see a lot of stuff like that in the store. I wouldn't even pick this one here. So it's just what you want, long term or short term. So I always go for the long term. So here's the main food forest strip. You can already see things are starting to really leaf out and it's starting to look very different in here. Once that rhubarb gets up, like way down there, when that rhubarb gets up and the comfrey gets up, it just really changes the way that it looks in here. So I really enjoy this. And I've been noticing a tremendous increase in bird activity this year, which is exciting. You know, even more so than most years. Look at that flowering dogwood. We got one more day of it. It's starting to drop its petals, but it's been just fantastic the last couple days. So it will be fun to watch this grow, not just this year, but as we flesh out all that side stuff over the next couple years. But this year we should have a pretty good fruit harvest. The weather, I think, has been pretty good in terms of blooming and then a freezing, and it looks like we should be safe. So we'll see. For rhubarb, right about now is the time where you should be pulling flowers off if you want it for a harvest. So if you're constantly harvesting it or even just chopping and dropping it, it's always good to pull the flowers off. So I've been pulling the flowers off of this one under the pear tree up there, hidden behind all this stuff. And this is why, so you get these big flower stalks. So I'll leave this one up and the one in the back there, I don't know if you can see that one. So we'll leave those up, let them go to flower, just for pollination and, you know, who knows what else is eating it, because I can't eat that much rhubarb. But cracking the flower heads off, you can see one right there, using asparagus to point. cracking the flower heads off, dropping them down to build soil, you'll get more vigorous leaf growth, which also correspondingly means more stalk growth. And if you're constantly harvesting them, you want to keep it going away from genetics. That's just a typical rule if you want to keep a plant in its youth, juvenile phase, where it's growing stalks and branches and leaves and roots. Then you pull off the genetics. You pinch the strawberry flowers, you pinch new apple tree flowers if you want it to focus on growth. The genetics of a plant, it takes a lot of energy to push those out. So if you can interrupt that process, then you can get the plant to focus on the things you want it to focus on. So just a general tip that works for all plants. So I get a lot of questions about invasives and weeds and what do I do for invasives and weeds. You're looking at one of the most invasive plants on the planet, and that is dog strangling vine. And this whole area used to be covered in this stuff. So it does pop up now and then, and what you want to do is basically, if I dig this out, I'm going to fracture all of its roots and it's going to propagate, it's going to spread. So instead, I take it, I cut it ground level, okay, and then I drop it down. Now, for some things that will root really well along the stem, you might want to just toss it on a driveway or a rock so that the sun fries it first. But this stuff's not too bad for that, even though it's a climber. It doesn't really root in that way. And you just build soil with it. So you turn your problem into a solution and you build soil with your invasives. And that's the way that you handle that. If you go digging and you try to dig all this out, you're just going to make more. So you just cut it ground level, drop it down, and build soil with it. And it's actually popping up a decent amount in this particular area, probably because I hadn't been doing that. So we build soil with our invasives. So now the plant got interrupted, it's lost its ability to get photosynthesis and put energy back into itself, which means it has to grow another shoot. And because it has no energy, it has to take it from the roots. So it'll take it from the roots will die back and it'll squish another shoot up. And then if we are really diligent about staying on top of that and continuously doing that, then no plant can survive that battle. No plant can survive spending all of its root energy to push up a new shoot, and then we come and interrupt that process, and then it has to do that all again. So no plant can handle that. But I don't care what it is, no plant can survive that. So we just continue to do that, and if we're on top of it, then that's the best way to handle any weed. If we're not on top of it, then the plant will always kind of be able to establish itself again, and we'll kind of be running in circles. But that's the way we handle these invasives. And anything we don't want, like a sumac growing by rhizome runner from somewhere right up in the middle of my garden, I don't mind some sumacs. Once this is more established, sumacs will probably come right in, but for now we don't want that. So we just cut it at the root base, and that's it. Now the only difference with that is with this stuff. So here we've got Bermuda grass. Now let's talk about why this is different, and you actually need to kind of pull it out, or ideally stop it from the side. Okay, any plant that establishes itself as its main plant somewhere else, and it can collect photosynthesis there and use that energy to push an underground root into your garden and then pop up, that's what this Bermuda grass does. So anywhere that happens, you can't simply just win the battle by cutting this stuff ground level and that's it. So you do, I mean, it helps, but even though I cut this ground level and I didn't pull any roots out, the main plant has all its energy. So whatever main plant is driving that in, it still has all its available energy, and it'll continue to do that. You can't beat that flow without preventing it from coming in. So here we do it with a little line ditch. Some underground rhizomes were probably already there, and then now it's sending it up from those. So from those ones, maybe we can win that battle there, because if there's no host plant, we severed it. There's no host plant driving it. But anywhere that there's a host mother plant driving a rhizome runner in, you know, just chopping and dropping it isn't going to actually win the fight, because it's got all the energy it needs from the mother plant. And then the third way that we can battle that is anywhere that you have that issue going on, that's telling you that new plants are getting in there, creeping up, and they have the opportunistic ability to get up and establish and control that new space. So you can see it was in and around here, it was down in there. And what's common about all of these places is that it's not planted densely enough. So the second way to fight this, or you know, third way or whatever, another way to fight this is that we have to get another plant in there. Nature abhors a vacuum, so if there's a space for a plant, nature will put a plant there. If we don't want nature to keep putting a plant there, then what we need to do is we need to put our own plants there. So this area, even though looking down this way, you know, this is good. This is what good looks like. It's certainly better than most gardens. This is what good looks like, but there's a lot of vacancies in here. This is why I'm saying that I've been planting for 5 years and I'm still going. And you know, I thought I needed, you know, 100 acres, but really even 1 acre done properly is enough for a lifetime of planting. So that's what good looks like, but this is what better looks like. So putting in a spreading ground cover that you like the strawberries, really helps keep all that other stuff down. And cramming more bushes, you know, I thought when I put all these bushes in, I thought this is too many bushes. I think there's 3 bushes in there actually. And I thought, you know, that's too many bushes. And then we've got another bush here, the sea buckthorn, and then we've got a bunch of other flowers in and around it. And I keep adding stuff in. There's asparagus in there, cramming it in. But really, I could use for another couple bushes here. I could use for another couple bushes here. So it's all about cramming it full, and then you don't get as much stuff. So this is a little better. This is what we want. We want that look where you can't see any brown, you can't see any wood chips. They're there underneath, but this is what nature sees. And every sunlight hitting this patch is hitting a green solar panel. So you want that level of density, maybe even denser than that. And that's why, you know, I keep telling my wife I need to buy more stuff, I need to buy more bushes, I need to, you know, obviously propagate free stuff and put it in there, but I do want the diversity, so I don't want too much cloning propagation. I want to, you know, get a lot of diversity in there. So I keep saying, you know, I got to cram stuff in, and it's always, you know, how many plants do you need? How many more trees do we actually need here? And the answer is quite a bit. We need a lot of trees, we need a lot of bushes, and we need to cram all the spaces in. And that's how you get to a super low maintenance. You know, this food forest is low maintenance, almost none. Everything that I just showed you today, it's all optional. You know, worst case, plants fill in a spot, but over time, you'll just remove the ones that you don't want and put in new ones that you do want, and just continue working on it. And it's a lifelong project, a lifelong passion that's always changing. But that's why I need so many plants. So this new area here, even though we've got the tree layers kind of sorted out and we're starting to work on the bush layers, you know, once those start growing and you start filling in the herbaceous layer between them, you get a ground cover growing. There's a lot more planting that I need to do in this little area, even though I've been planting in it non-stop for probably 2 weeks now. So thanks for watching our morning walk around. These walk around videos, I know they're fairly similar, just walking around observing the land, but they're easy for me to do, and when I'm overloaded like I am right now with work and everything, it's literally the only, you know, 30 minutes I have to the day to do anything. So hope you enjoyed walking around, talking about plants, talking about strategies in your food forest garden, and I'll see you on the next one.